As a society, we are constantly living in survival mode, living in fear and dealing with the daily stresses of life, and really existing in this out-of-body experience, chasing dopamine, living in fight or flight responses, and constantly occupying ourselves not to feel anything, afraid that if we slow down, we could get left behind. But left behind to what? Our nervous systems are in this dysregulated state, and the worst thing is that we don't even know it, because it's just so normal for us. We're ignoring all the signs, all the anxiety, the burnout, the acne, the emotional fatigue, the racing heartbeats, the rushing around. But when you live in this calm, regulated state, suddenly your world just slows down and everything just feels doable. Life suddenly isn't this rat race, it isn't this enemy. Life begins to feel more full. You're more energized. You can cope with whatever life throws at you from this calm, grounded state. And from that place, life is more enjoyable.
The first thing I do in the morning is drink some water. I like to drink it outside and sip it in the sunlight. Water is like the source of everything that we don't even acknowledge. So I like to take my first sip of water for the day outside. I say a little prayer to it as I drink it and begin my day. I think our bodies are, and don't quote me on this, are made up of around 75% water. And this resource, this clean, free resource that is so readily available to us, that we don't really think of, at least for me, and I can only speak for myself, you have this free resource and you don't really think of how potent it is to sustain in our life. How the food we eat that comes from the earth requires the rainwater to grow, and fruits and vegetables, they're mainly made up of water. That water is used to bathe in and water the plants. The fact that it's just free and readily available to us just becomes this thing that we don't really think of, we don't honour, we don't appreciate, and that water really is that lifeline, that we can't survive, we can't live without water. So the importance of it in the ceremony was really, really highlighted to me. We went all day, I believe it was maybe 9 or 10 hours without water. You can imagine that at the end of the ceremony, towards the end, we were all really quite thirsty. The way the facilitator prayed and gave thanks to the water and then served it to us in this very ceremonial way really, really highlighted to me the importance of water, and that I wanted to bring that home and incorporate it into my daily practices.
Journaling to me has been like another form of therapy. I always travel with my journal. I take it everywhere with me. I've even been known to journal on top of mountains, in airports, in friends' houses, and I really don't have a set structure to my journaling. It's usually just thoughts or poems, or I just stream consciousness onto the page. And it's usually where my creative ideas come from when I journal first thing in the morning after a full night's sleep. And it began when I was instructed to write down my whereabouts and write down what was going on in my life when I was in an abusive relationship. And it really stemmed from there. I carried it on, and many journals later, I am still doing it, years and years later. I could probably make an entire YouTube video on journaling. I am so passionate about it. But what I would suggest is to start with a gratitude practice. And that's where you write down 5 things that you're grateful for that has happened in the last 24 hours. And what that does is that allows you to be mindful as you go throughout your day. You are consciously looking for things that you can be grateful for. So you know the next morning you're going to write down 5 things that you're grateful for in the last 24 hours, and you are mindfully, actively looking for them. So it gets your mind thinking in this different vibration, which is such a beautiful thing. My meditation practice has definitely evolved over the years, and most recently I have been following the same meditation practice every day. And there's really no right way or wrong way to do it. The basis of it is just that you're bringing your attention into occupying different parts of your body. And really with meditation, the act of meditation is simply noticing when your thoughts drift off into thoughts, when your mind drifts off into thoughts. And it's that moment of noticing it and bringing your mind back to your body, back to the sensation, back to occupying the part of your body that you are consciously aware of and focusing on. So in my meditation practice, I like to take my attention into occupying different parts of my body, and I'll start with my head. Then I'll move down to my shoulders and my arms and my torso and my legs. And slowly I will take a few breaths, occupying each area. And again, just bringing my attention back each time to that area. And what that's allowed me to do is to be more aware of how I feel, be more aware of my internal state as I go about my life, and to enable me to notice when I feel triggered, when I feel angry, when I feel sad, when I feel these emotions arising within me that can often feel too big for us to feel. But having this awareness practice, this meditation practice, has really allowed me to soften and to know that they are feelings and that I am essentially the one in control. You can also do this with a presence practice, which could take 30 seconds or a minute, and that's to pause maybe 2 or 3 times throughout your day and to take your awareness inside your body. Notice how you feel. Notice where feels numb, where feels hot, where feels cold. What part of your skin is tingling? What part can't you feel? What part feels really, really warm, or where you feel niggling pain, or perhaps you feel pins and needles. And it's just bringing that attention inside that is the practice of just noticing how you're feeling. And the beautiful, beautiful benefits of this is that you can notice yourself as these emotions arise, as I mentioned, and you're better able to meet your own needs.
Another self-regulating thing that I do in the day is get out into nature, and that can sound really blasé and really cliche, but when you bring your presence along with nature, it has this resounding, grounding energy. I believe I read that we are positively charged and we have positive ions, and the ground and nature is negatively charged, so it has negative ions. So it balances us out and it gives us this grounding aspect, so it helps us reground. So there really is a science to it. My favourite thing is to feel the breeze on my face or on my skin, and it really has this way of washing all my worries away. When you can feel it on your face or your skin or your arms or any part of your body, you can imagine it washing your worries away, washing your thoughts away. And if you concentrate on it, feeling it against your skin, the texture of it, the temperature of it, the feel of it, the speed of it, you can really bring yourself into that moment and take yourself away from all these overriding thoughts, all these overriding things to do. And your mind and your thoughts, they slow down when you immerse yourself in nature, listening to a stream, listening to an ocean, listening to running water, getting your feet in the grass, in the soil, allowing yourself to be charged with negative ions, listening to the wind, listening to the rain. All these things are just ways of connecting with nature and slowing down, because we often don't think of it, but nature has this potent energy. It's almost a dangerous energy, because if you think of the ocean, you think of a sandstorm, you think of a hurricane, you think of how hot the sun is and how dangerous it can be, sunstroke, burning our skin. It's this delicate dance between how delicate it can be and how dangerous it can be, and that we can learn so much from nature just by slowing down and respecting it and actually reconnecting with it, because we're part of nature. We come from the earth, we will go back to the earth when we die, and I feel that we've lost this connection with it and the lessons that it can teach us. And one of the most potent lessons it can teach you is to slow down. Slow down. Another thing that I focus on is the flow of my breath. So when I was younger, I often used to hold my breath when I would be in situations of stress or tension. And I learned that it was really a freeze response to any situations that I was in. So there's 4 responses. I'll just talk about the 3 at the moment. So there's fight, flight, freeze and fawn. But fight is basically when you are experiencing a dangerous situation or a stressful situation and you believe that you can fight through that situation. Your nervous system is able to power through and overcome it. Flight is when you can remove yourself from the situation, you can run away, you have ability in your nervous system to get yourself out of that situation. And freeze is when you don't have the capacity to fight or flight, and you stay in that situation and you essentially freeze. Your nervous system just causes you to be in this frozen state where you're incapable of doing anything. I learned that my breath and the way I would often hold my breath was a freeze response to past trauma. So one thing I'm really passionate about is the ability to have this free-flowing breath. You can get chest breathers, which is where you only breathe in above your waistband. And essentially these are short, sharp, not very deep breaths. And it's a way of not allowing life in, a way of not feeling all of life, a way of almost resisting life to feeling your full capacity. And then there's waist breathers, which is from your waistband down. And essentially it is a deeper breath, but your resistance to allowing all of the breath out, it creates this grasping of life, this inability to allow all of the breath out, this need to hold on to things, this need to be able to be in control. Patterns of tension and repression of the breath often mirror patterns of tension and repression in the emotional body. So the frequency and the ease of our breath can often mirror how tense we are, how dysregulated our nervous system is, and it can often give you lots and lots of indications of how easeful you feel, how regulated you feel. And one of the practices that I love to do is and you can do this any time of the day, it doesn't matter where you are, who you're with, whether you're in silence, nature, whether you're in a busy street, you've always got your breath to come back to. And it was just this deep inhalation and deep exhalation for maybe 10 counts, and I would do that throughout the day, and it would soften the muscles and it would create this flow that I could feel changing the way that I breathed. So that's one beautiful practice to do. Another one to do to calm and regulate your nervous system is to extend your exhale. So you would breathe in, say, for a count of 4, breathe out for a count of 6 or 7, and just keep doing that and just extending your exhale each time, and really focusing on breathing up through your pelvis, through your stomach, through your chest, through your throat, and allowing this full system breathing, which allows you to get out of that freeze response. Another thing that I love to incorporate into my day is periods of stillness and silence, which can be so potently powerful for realizing just the amount of thoughts that you think in a day and how they can take you on this wild journey of taking you away from your being. So where external stimulation can numb your own thoughts, they can cover up what you're actually thinking. And essentially they are acting as numbing mechanisms. They are acting as things that are taking up our attention, that is taking our attention away from how we're feeling. And by removing them for just small periods of time, it can really help you tap into your state of mind, the quality of your thoughts. You can pay attention to how regulated you are, how fast your heart is beating, what's the rhythm of your breath like, how able are you to recognize the thoughts that are really not true from the ones that are real, the ones that are from the ego, other than the ones that are from the self. So I really like to have this time in my day where I can just be in stillness. I don't even listen to music. I really do savor the silence. And I think that if you can spend time with yourself in silence, it really is such an onus to yourself, because we don't often spend time alone or in silence. I mean, think how often in your day, in your life, you actually have peace to be with your thoughts. And it's that overconsumption of stimuli that keeps us from noticing those thoughts and from being with them and challenging them rather than accepting them as our truth. Because I guarantee 90% of the thoughts we have are just negative, recurring, worrying thoughts that take us out of that present moment and allow us to worry about something in the future or dwell on something from the past. In that present moment, if you can't alter something or change something, the beautiful act of releasing it allows you to have that peace and that stillness and allows you to come back to being yourself in that moment.